So coming from the Gold Coast, Australia, I'm from one of the best gyms in Australia. I'm from Strikeforce Gym, which is a pure Muay Thai gym. We've got coaches like Mark Pease, who he's trained many world champions, some of the best in Australia. Mr. C, who's one of my main coaches, and he's been pad holder for me since I was 16 years old. And he's really believed in me since the start, so I've got a lot of love for him. And we've got some great fighters. We've got Chad Collins, who he's just beat Panaroon. He's the Rise World Champion, WBC World Champion, WMC World Champion at 63.5 kilos. We've got some of the best guys in Australia, like we've got James Hkney, who's perfect for me because he fights at 72.5 kilos. I fight at 69 kilos, so he's a great training partner for me, and he's probably the best middleweight in Australia at the moment. We've got Jaden Enyard, who's a WMC World Champion, and then other than that, like I kind of just go to different gyms and do some training. So I got a good mate, Josh King. We do a fair bit of training together. He's on the rise as a Muay Thai star. He's coming back over to Thailand pretty soon. So yeah, all these guys, they've definitely helped me become who I am, and I think everyone has their each individual role. Like Chad taught me a lot about clinching and about the Thai style. James taught me a lot about boxing. You know, sparring rounds with Jaden. Jaden was like 90 kilos, and me being a fucking 70 kilo fighter, it's, you know, it's good to have hard rounds with big guys like that, and got to learn how to use my size to my advantage, you know. Mark's taught me a lot about Muay Thai, Mr. C, and then, you know, Josh and his trainer, Clayton Collier, and his dad, like they've all just kind of brought me into this world of Muay Thai and made me a very good fighter. And then also me training Jiu-Jitsu at CMBT and some wrestling at CMBT, that's kind of been my merging into MMA while still focusing on Muay Thai. I think one of my biggest accomplishments in Muay Thai is probably my last performance back in Australia. So there's a lot of kind of shit that went on before that fight. Like three months before the fight, like when the fight just got booked, I got dropped on the back of my head and got a really bad concussion. And I was dealing with that for like months on end. And I thought it was 100%, but then going into that fight 2 weeks before, I was boxing sparring with James, and he hit me in the head a few too many times because I was just being an idiot and running forward and trying to hit him, and concussion symptoms flared up. Like I was dizzy, I felt like vomiting, all that stuff. And then I called Mark and I said, like, you know, I don't know if I can fight. Like this is been going on. And that morning actually, he had like told me, oh, you've got a new opponent. So a week out, I don't remember the last time I've had like an opponent stay the same. Like it's probably been like 4 years since I've had an opponent for X amount of time. I always get pullouts and I always get opponent changes, but you know, it keeps you on your toes. But anyway, I called Mark and I was just like, man, I don't know if I can do this fight. Like my concussion's fucked, like it's popping up. And then he just said to me like, well, you're very skilled, you're very good. This is one of the biggest shows in Australia. And I believe that you've got what it takes to kind of go out there and put on a show and show Australia who you are. So I went out there and I just kind of had the mentality of, like I'm gonna fight, but I just can't get hit basically. And I got hit clean 7 times in 8.5 minutes before stopping my opponent with leg kicks. So just showing my skill set on such a big show like Eruption was definitely a massive accomplishment for me, and it really showed people who I am in Australia. But the plan is to go back to Australia this year and have a couple more fights, and I've gotten, you know, so much better over at Bangtao, and I believe that I'm just going to stamp my name on the map as one of the best fighters in Australia this year. So this isn't my first time being out in Thailand. I came out here in 2022. I went to Bangkok, trained at Smart Pakaroon's gym for a little bit, and eventually ended up leaving that gym just because there wasn't really enough people that were my size. So went and trained at Sassy Prapa for a week, and then I went out to Isan, and I trained in Isan for about 2 months. I had 3 fights out at the Isan gym, and it was a great experience to just kind of go out there in the middle of nowhere. Like the nearest 7-Eleven was over 10-minute drive away, which if you're in Thailand, you know there's a 7-Eleven every 2 minutes. So it was literally in the middle of nowhere, an hour and a half to the nearest airport, and me and one of my mates, we were just in the sticks. Like we were the only 2 Aussies and only 2 like white people out there, and that definitely made me a better fighter for a few things. Like it made me a lot more mentally tough, just the training and like not being able to communicate properly and all that. And obviously you're training with just Thais, and there were so many Thais around my weight, so I got very good at that gym. And then yeah, I ended up having a fight in Phuket out of that gym. So the promoter flew us to Phuket, and at that time I was obviously knew I was going to do MMA because I'd trained MMA in the past. So I decided to come and check out Bangtao, and I was very sore and bruised up from a sharp fight. Like my shins were fucked, my elbow was swollen, like my face was bruised up. So I hit up one of the guys back home who knows Frank quite well, and he got us in contact, and I came over, had a look at one of the wrestling classes just to kind of see what the gym was like. And that's when I kind of set the goal, like, okay, I'm going to go back to Australia, I'm going to work, I'm going to save up, and I'm going to come out to Bangtao in 2023. And just went back, worked, fought, got some money, came back out to Bangtao this time. And since being here, I've definitely built a great relationship with the coaches, the Thai coaches like Ajahn Watt, Crew Beer, Crew M, Crew Kron. Like, they're all kind of helping me become a better fighter now. And I've had, I believe, 6 or 7 Muay Thai fights out of the gym and 1 MMA fight. And just me looking at myself from back then versus now, like, I'm definitely a lot more of a smarter, cleaner, technical fighter now, and that's all because of the trainers here. And on top of that, I'm now wrestling and I'm now doing jiu-jitsu, and I believe that I'm going to have such a good base for when I eventually go into MMA that I think I'm going to be an unstoppable force.